Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. We are live this morning from Pittsburgh, where voting has kicked off here on Election Day 2020 in the state of Kansas. Started at 7 a.m. and the lines, they started out pretty long. We saw 50, 60 people in a line, but things are moving really quickly. They've gotten quicker, and we're seeing people get in and get out, exercise their right to vote quicker than, about as quickly as you possibly can, given the circumstances. So we're hanging out here this morning, and as we know, we're watching this happen all around the country, right? And we're watching the sausage of democracy get made, as my coworkers like to make fun of me for. But what I will tell you is that while there are a lot of people voting today, a lot of people have already cast their ballot, right? People all over America have already cast their ballot. Rather, it's the people who opted to vote by mail this year, or those in the New Hampshire town of Dixville Notch, following the old tradition of voting at midnight. Over 97 million Americans voted prior to today. That's a record for early voting, and it's almost 2/3 of the total number of ballots cast in 2016. Now, if you're planning on casting your vote today, poll times vary from state to state, right? Missouri's polls opened at 6:30 a.m. this morning. They run till 7. As long as you're in line by 7, you can still vote. For Kansas and Oklahoma, polling places will be open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And in Arkansas, you can vote from 7:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. Now, there's all sorts of races for different offices around the country, and they're up for election today, from sheriffs to governors to U.S. senator. I'm looking at a list here, and it's a little overwhelming, frankly. So, here's a short list of races that you might want to keep an eye on around the 4-state area. All right, let's go through this. First, let's start in Kansas. All right, we'll start in Kansas with the race that's gotten the most national attention, and that's the race for U.S. Senate between Democrat Barbara Bollier and Republican Congressman Roger Marshall. Now, what's made the race eye-opening is how close it is and the staggering amount of money spent. Right? Barbara Bollier set state fundraising records, raising more than $24 million, and that's compared to Roger Marshall, raising nearly $6 million. Now, the polls have ranged from leaning Republican to a toss-up. The most recent one by Data for Progress shows Marshall leading by 6 points, and it's important to remember that Kansas hasn't elected a Democrat to the Senate since 1932. Now, sticking with Kansas, another race to keep an eye on here in the Sunshine State, or the Sunflower State, is U.S. House 2nd District, right? You've got Republican Kansas Secretary of State Jake LaTurner taking on Democratic Topeka Mayor Michelle De La Isla. Now, LaTurner, a Galena, Kansas native, unseated the incumbent Congressman Steve Watkins in the primary. According to the latest poll conducted in early October, LaTurner's leading De La Isla by as much as 11 points. Now, across the border here in Missouri, they're going to decide on who they want for governor. Now, the incumbent Republican Mike Parson or the Democratic State Auditor Nicole Galloway. This one's tightened up in recent months. Back in August, Governor Parson led by 15 points in one poll, but now the latest poll released on Saturday is showing just a 6-point lead. Now, if he wins, it would be the governor's first time being elected to the position. Parson replaced Eric Greitens following his resignation in 2018. Now, finally in Missouri, Amendment 3, right? A vote yes amends the Missouri Constitution to ban lobbyist gifts, reduce campaign contribution limits, and change the redistricting process approved by voters in 2018. Now, the responsibility to draw legislative districts would instead go from nonpartisan state demographer to governor appointed by partisan commissions. Now, proponents see it as a way to keep representation local, while opponents see it as undoing the voter-approved Clean Missouri initiative. Now, there's a lot more races you can keep your eye on here, and we've got them all on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com, and make sure you check out our elections page. We've got all sorts of information and resources on there, but above all, if you haven't gone out and vote, make sure you do so. All that information and more coming up. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. We'll be back with more right after this.